Hey family, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. And if you are not new here, welcome back. I wanted to do this video because I have been asked several times on several occasions regarding the business behind Alterations. So we're gonna talk about it today. I'm gonna break this up into a two-part video. On this video specifically, we're gonna be talking about pricing your alterations and advertising your alterations. And then on part 2 of this video, we're going to be talking about working out of your home with alterations, and we'll also be talking about supplementing alterations, like doing alterations as a side business, as a side hustle, on the part 2 video. So specifically for this video, let's get into it. Advertising. Now, everything that I'm telling you in this video is going to be based off of my opinion, okay? And it's also going to be based off of what I have done. Now, I own a dry cleaning and alterations business. I have owned this business now to this date 10 years, and we are successful, and we now have 2 locations, okay? So we've done something right. So I'm giving you this information based off of what I have done and what I know. We're gonna just start there, okay? If you know, you know. All right, as far as our advertising, when it gets into alteration, it really kind of depends on if you're new to alterations, like this is just a skill that you're starting to learn, or is it something that you've already learned, or you've been new and now you're kind of getting back into it? I'm gonna say this, for what I did when it came to advertising when we purchased this shop, was in the beginning I didn't do any advertising because I was not confident in my work in regards to alterations. So it was really a matter of who walked through the door. If you happen to walk through the door into my shop to do alterations, we gonna do it. Even though I wasn't confident in myself and the work. Well, I was confident in myself, but I wasn't 100% confident in the work, in doing alterations, because I hadn't done them before. But I knew that I could do it, and that's what kept me going. And if you don't know my story about alterations, I'm gonna link it somewhere in here, and then you can watch that video in regards to how I even got started to do alterations. So like I said, for me, it was just a matter of who walked through the door, right? And then once it got to that point where I couldn't do that anymore, what I did was I would go to different cleaners and I would ask them, who's doing your alterations? And if they didn't have anyone doing alterations, or if they were maybe looking to offer alterations, I would give my business card out to them and let them know, hey, look, I offer wholesale alterations. So I will do all of your alterations for your store, and we'll split it, the cost 50-50, okay? That was one way that I did advertising, just to kind of get people knowing that I do alterations and I have my business here, my shop is here, and I'm looking for work. That's one of the ways of potentially advertising for yourself. And if you see me looking down, it's because I've taken notes and I don't want to forget anything. The big one that we all know, social media. Social media is a beast, okay? And I'm telling you, if you get on that train and you're doing good work, you're gonna go far. Use social media for what it's for the good, okay? Get on there and show your work. You are your best advertiser, right? So what you do, what you mean, and for example, for what I did, at the time that we got this shop, I was not doing alterations more so, but I was sewing, but I was making clothes. And so what I was doing was I would make clothes for myself, post it on social media. Of course, it'll start rumbling. Your friends and family will start asking questions. The news will start to spread, okay? Then At that point, I was starting to doing the same thing with my alterations. Show people what you can do. You show before and after when it comes to alterations. You get a customer testimonial, and I'm telling you what I've done, and I've taken customer testimonials and I've posted them in regards to the work that I've done. I've actually shown the quality of the stitches that I've done when it comes to alteration. All of this on social media. Use social media. It's free. All right. You get on there and you show your work. You are your best advertising. That's what I did in regards to marketing myself and putting myself out there when the business just wasn't rolling in back to back. We had to do something, we wanted to stay afloat. That's what I did. All right. So like I said, go to other cleaners and find out if you can offer them wholesale alterations, and then you split it 50-50. Show your work on social media. Show your before and afters in regards to the alterations that you do. Get customer testimonial. Let them talk about you and how well your work is. All right. Best advertising. But the one that is like a no fault, in my opinion, is word of mouth. And I'm telling you, family, honestly, that is what has built our business. Word of mouth. All right. People, not only is it the quality of work that you're giving them, but they have to like you. People do business with who they know, like, and trust. Okay? Have integrity. Okay? Do not take people for granted because they did not have to walk through your door. Word of mouth is such a powerful tool. And if you produce and give people the quality, not only the quality in an alterations, but also excellent customer service, they're coming back every time. Bro, they're coming back every time. All right. And family, I'm sorry if I didn't say this. And excuse the lighting. The lighting here is not the best, but you ain't worrying about the lighting. You want this information, right? Right. Okay, let's get back to it. So those are my top 3 tips when it comes to advertising. But baby, let's talk about money.
Let's talk about money. Let's talk about money.
Prices. How do you determine how much you should charge for alterations? Now, I've seen videos out there that say, get a formula and and put this and because when I was trying to figure out what I should charge people for alterations, I did that because again, I wasn't in the business. I didn't know. So I'm looking, how much. Listen, that may work for you. You want and you figure out what you believe your time is worth per hour, how long it takes you to get a job done, and then you base your alterations price on that. You can do that. That's not what I did, but you can do that. Let me tell you what I did. Because we initially acquired this shop from somebody, whatever the prices that she was charging her customers, and she kind of gave me a basic list of what she was charging customers, for the most common alterations that will come in. As far as, and when I say most common alterations, I mean hemming a pair of pants, taking in the waist on a dress, shortening the sleeves on a men's jacket, sports coat, things of those natures, like your common alterations. She gave me a price list to go off of, right? So I was charging the same thing that she was charging. And then I started to realize and feel like, no, something just don't seem right. So I said, you know what? I am going to call 5 other alterations shops that do exactly what I do. They do alterations, and find out what their prices are, right? Now, a lot of times you may call different alteration locations and you'll get somebody on the phone and they won't tell you the price, in which I understand why, because depending on the job is really going to depending on the cost, right? We have to see how your garment is constructed. But as far as basic pricing, most of the time they'll give you that. I call different alteration shops and I said, hey, I have a pair of jeans that I need hem. Can you tell me how much that will cost to get done? And I did that, and I did it to 5. So I got an average in my area within, I want to say I did it within a 10-mile radius of where I was going to be doing alterations out of. And I got the top 5, got their prices on hemmings, just hemmings. And I used that as a basis, okay? Because I figured out what the average cost is in my vicinity. And family, when I did that for my business, I realized I was way under. But again, I was using my prices based off of the previous owner. And not only that, I wasn't confident in the quality of my work. I knew I could do it, but I hadn't been doing alterations that long. So I didn't want to be charging people too much. And then it's like, I done messed their stuff up and it's a whole nother problem. I've since passed that. But in the beginning, that's exactly how it was. All right. So I did that. That is how I got to know how much I'm going to charge. The more I kept doing alterations, the better I got, the more confident I got, all right? That's the simple formula. The more you do it, the better you will get, the more confidence you will have, okay? And so once I realized what the average was, in the beginning, I still stayed a little bit below the average because I was in that building phase. And I wanted people to come to me because my prices were good. And I still, I wasn't really that great in doing the alterations, but my personality is really what drew them in. And they stayed with me and hung in it. I've had customers who've been with me since I've been here in day one, and that's 10 years ago, right? They stayed with me and wrote it out, and I've gotten better and better and better. And now you can't tell me nothing about my price. You can't tell. Listen, and you gonna get there too. You can't tell me nothing about my prices. I charge what I charge. I know I'm fair, and I know the quality and level that you are getting professional work over here. All right. So I don't want to hear it when it comes to pricing. If the prices that I quote you is too much for you, deuces. Period. Not everybody's not everything is for everybody. All right. Some people can afford Mercedes. Some people can't. Some people can afford Toyota. Some people can't. It is what it is. My price is my price. And that's because I know the quality of work that I'm giving you. That is how I figured out how much I am going to charge for alterations. I just got an average. Of the people around me. And then I used that as a basis, okay? That was one of the ways that I did. The other thing that I did was I took those same 5 places of which I have gotten those prices from, and I became their customer, okay? I went in as a customer. I had a pair of pants. I said, hey, I got these pants I want to get hemmed. I saw the process in which they did it. They quoted me a price, I paid the price, and then once I went and picked up my work, I seen the quality of the work. That's how you're gonna know. Because remember, in this, at least for me here in this business, there are times when there's certain alterations that I just don't have the time to do. Some people need it rushed. I may not be able to rush it. I just don't have the time to do it. And then they will ask you, well, do you have someplace else, someone else that you can recommend? Actually, you know what? I do. And based off of the work that I had gotten done, listen, you can take it over here. The quality of work would be good. I do that. I build community in my community. right? There's enough out there for all of us. There's enough out there for all of us. I'm not gatekeeping. If it's something that I can't do and I just don't have the time to do it, I'm going to recommend you to somebody who I know their work is good because they've done work for me, right? So that's another way of how I figured out my pricing. I just took my stuff over to them and I had them do it. Some I liked, some I didn't. I'm very picky in particular when it comes to my clothes, and I'm very picky in particular when it comes to my food. Let any of my family members tell you, okay? And so that's what I did. That is how I figured out how much I am going to charge for alterations. And it worked. It worked. It worked for me. And then what I also realized is that, okay, if let's use a hem for example. If location number 1 is charging $15 for a hem, location 2 is charging $12 for a hem, location 3 is charging $20 for a hem, you get the average cost of that, of what the hem is going to cost, right? You figure, okay, well, I know that I can do a hem in 15 minutes. You can do a hem in 15 minutes, no more than 15, 20 minutes. You see what the average cost is, and then you just kind of base your price off of that. That's what I did. That's what I did, and it worked. It worked, okay? So in regards to pricing your alterations, don't make it harder than it is. Don't make it harder than it is, right? Because wherever you're going to be doing alterations, you got to know what your competition is doing. You got to know what your competition is doing. So in order to know what your competition is doing, you got to get out there and go see. And that's what I did. That's what I did, baby. And that's how I got to my pricing. I didn't do no formulas. I didn't figure this out and figure that out and figure that. No, I didn't do all of that. I took what I knew needed to get done to somebody, looked at their quality of work, averaged out the price for this vicinity, and I got my pricing. And it works. It worked for me, and I can almost guarantee it will work for you. Okay? So that is, in a nutshell, advertising and pricing for alterations. Now, to be continued on part 2 on the other side of alterations. I'll catch y'all over there. Deuces.